Mostly, we have them all right now, except for one, which is the one that I'm personally worried about. So
Same.
Well, I wish you luck. Alrighty. We are going to get this party started.
Sounds good.
Alright. Pull this up. Okay, so before we start, I'm going to give you guys a choice. The official quote-unquote book says players have been here for 1d10 days. Do you have a desire to roll, or do you want to... It's just really for your general use. If you want to roll, you can. You're going to be rolling something separate, but that'll be in a minute.
sure, I'll roll. Let's see how long. I've been here 1 day.
That sounds good to me.
However, been in the Underdark for longer.
Been
than
here
that.
forever.
There you go.
I was born here.
Was molded by the darkness. Alright, so let's do the next step. Let's see, we got everybody rolled. Okay. So I need a D. Actually, let's just do it this way. I'm going to share this sheet. All you have to do is that button at the top left that says roll, click it once. In your, 1 through 9 days here, you have scavenged that item. I will place it onto your sheet, starting...
But Tony, that isn't an item.
You're right, it isn't. But I'll be damned if it's not going on your sheet.
Hey, anybody get 28 to 30? Anybody?
No.
I got absolute zip. So yeah.
Yeah, I got nothing.
My character's gonna die because he's gonna get bit by a tarantula.
It's just a big spider. It doesn't necessarily mean it is a tarantula.
This is true.
Yeah, but it's in the Underdark.
It's true. It's probably got all kinds of horrible hallucinogenic poisons on it.
Okay.
Ophelia Heine got a gem.
Well,
I was almost hoping
we'll just
I'd
leave it.
get the dagger because I'm gonna have to take a finesse weapon at some point.
Ophelia is how you say it.
Ophelia Heine.
No. No, Heidi.
All right. So everybody open your character sheet and go to the inventory tab.
All right.
On the right-hand side, to the left of the brown shield, you have a column, and it's carried or worn. It's got most of your stuff's either going to have a pouch. There you go, Ander, or a chainmail suit. Click it until every single circle is empty. If you just click things on the circle, they'll change. Just click it all till it vanishes.
That's super easy.
Whoa.
I like that a lot.
I never really, I considered it before. I considered moving your guys' stuff like prior, but I decided I wanted to put it all together because you guys had so much stuff in the party inventory in the last game. I wanted it all in a chest. So, typical DM douchebaggery. But now you guys are going to obviously know what's yours, but if it's empty, you have nothing. So that should be pretty straightforward for you guys. So I am going to take just a second, and I'm going to actually put stuff on your sheet. The scavenged possession. So let's go down the list. Yours is added. Kosjurkis. Let's see. You got nothing. That's easy.
Oh.
Ophelia, you got a gem, which is now added. There may be some settings that aren't exactly matching what they were prior, which is fine. If something, is a little wonky, let me know, because there's a lot of settings to go through, but I think I've got them mostly mirrored. So before we get started, just to reiterate, you guys can change anything about your character, anything. You can completely delete your character and restart from scratch if that's what you want to do, as long as it's done before the beginning of next game. The general rule I always have, I let people restart before the second game. Maybe they don't like it, maybe it doesn't go the way they want. So most people don't, but you have the option.
Sorry about that. I had to clear my throat.
That was embarrassing. Even I was embarrassed for it.
Mhm.
Okay, so you're going to get some, pictures here in a minute. But until then, we are going to start with the story, since nobody had any questions. So, let's go here. So, you have been captured by the Drow. You wouldn't wish this fate upon anyone, yet here you are, locked in a cave, dark and cold, the heavy weight of metal tight around your throat and wrists. You are not alone. Other prisoners are trapped in here with you, in an underground outpost far below the light of the sun. Your captors include a cruel drow priestess who calls herself Mistress Elvara of House Mizram. Over the past several days, you've met her several times, robed in silken garments and flanked by 2 male drow, one of whom has a mass of scars along one side of his face and neck. Mistress Elvara likes to impress her will with the scourge in hand and remind you that your life now belongs to her. Her frequent statement, accept your fate, learn to obey, and you may survive. Her words echo in your memory, even as you plot your escape. This is Velkynvelve. Keep that open, don't close it right away. Your location is here. From there, which are going to be additional maps, you will notice there are 2 paths. This path descends, and then this path is across a bridge, which goes across to a hanging stalactite. Stalagmite, my apologies. Now, if you wish to close that, you may. Did I get it right?
I think it is tight.
Tight. You got it right the first
Yeah,
time.
you had it right the first time.
I had a 50-50 chance. So, that being said, here's where you find yourself. I thought I had preloaded that, but I might have preloaded a different, so it may not load right away. It may take a couple extra seconds too, but
Oh wow. So crowded.
space is optimal. That being said, you are in here looking out. As you look out on the left side of the map, you can see the bridge and you can see the passage that descends to the right. As I included on the website, the Facebook page, a little description of some of them. If you didn't read them, it's not a big deal. If you did, awesome. We are going to, you're going to learn everyone as we go. So, before we dive in, I just want to give you guys a courtesy. This campaign is not Lost Mines of Phandelver. It's not streamlined in a fashion that you get handheld and there's a clue here and a clue there. So it's really up to you to run this show, for good and for bad. If you are prisoners, there is no set method for what to do. If you desire to escape, you may try. There's nothing that says you have to escape. It's probably preferable. How you escape is up to you. What you do is up to you. This campaign is the epitome of Dungeons and Dragons. It is completely open for you. I will say that the first time I ran this campaign, the party made a break for it at the time of their choosing, and they tried to get everybody out. And the manner in which they tried to escape, they lost 60% of their group.
Wow.
Oof.
So that is what that is. I just want to let you know, so because a lot of people are, Dungeons and Dragons has different varieties. This is your rodeo. The first couple games, or at least, depending on how you play it, are role playing. You are all wearing iron or metal collars and iron manacles, handcuffs. You are considered restrained. You can, it doesn't affect your movement, but you are otherwise considered to be restrained. And that's where you guys are going to be. So this game is going to start at night before you go to bed. So when you guys are ready to go to bed, you can go to bed anytime you want, and then we will begin the next day. Just for clarity, when I say restrained, as I said, it doesn't affect your speed, but any attack rolls against you have advantage. Your attack rolls have disadvantage, and you have disadvantage on all dexterity saving throws, not checks. So I'm going to be placing the restrained feature. This is your show. You're in prison in here. So I just threw all these tokens in here, and I will let you guys decide who knows who. Introduce yourselves wherever you want, and I will just be working my way up, giving you all restraint. Go.
So 2 questions. I think our tokens are on the wrong layer because I can't move my token anywhere on this map.
Okay, I can fix that while I fix that.
And second question, is anyone against the idea of me recording this?
I don't mind.
Nope.
Go for it.
Cool.
I used to record them, I just didn't want to anymore. Can I have a copy or at least
Yeah,
save it?
I can
No,
I
he's
could
keeping
like
it for himself.
I could upload it to the Facebook page when we're done.
Yeah, I used to save them on my. Damn it, I post them. I used to save them on my YouTube channel. It was a private for other players, but if
Yeah.
you want to do it, that's fine.
Yeah, I just thought I'd ask because I wanted to, you know.
There you go. So everybody is on there. You can move yourselves wherever you want.
That perception check is specifically looking for secret doors or secret passageways in this room.
Okay. You do not find any secret doors, any secret passageways. This appears to be carved straight out of the stone. I'm not going to go too deep into the last few days, however long you've been here. Most of the days you spend in a form or fashion being worked. A drow are definitely not nice. But in general, you spend most of your time out doing work, otherwise in here.
Well, I'm just investigating the door as well as keeping my ears open. Spirit is basically just intelligence gathering, information gathering. She's predominantly more concerned about the fate of her family rather than she is herself.
Okay.
She's been asking the others pretty much because she's been here for like over a week now at this point. And she's just basically been wondering, hey, has anybody seen any, 2 other Tabaxi, specifically either by the name of Razor of the Wind?
none of them have either the other prisoners ignore you, or the other prisoners tell you that they haven't heard of them. You're definitely an unusual looking creature to them, so do bear that in mind.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing that I'm kind of curious is because, Tabaxi, I kind of understand, would probably be a very rare sight here, so any information regarding them would definitely be welcome.
Yes, obviously, they would definitely stand out, but nobody seems to have any information.
Discouraging, but she won't let that affect her, so.
So when we say we arrived within 1 day based on the roll, does that mean like this day or the day previous, would you say?
I'd say this day, at the beginning of this day.
Okay. So then when Kosjurkis was thrown into this cell, he immediately scampered into the back of the cell and is doing his best to hide amidst the legs of the taller creatures around him.
Okay.
But I'm assuming he's not doing a very good job, so I'm not even going to roll for that.
So it is rather cramped.
Yes.
So, as you guys are sitting there, the guard at the door smacks the bars with his sword clanging, and he yells into the chamber. He yells, "Sereth, come here." And the drow in the room has a resigned sigh on his face. He kind of stands up and, in a more depressed fashion, walks over towards the area. And then the other guard hits the bars right in front of his face and says, "Get away from the gate, slave." And he goes back. The guards let out a malicious chuckle, and he makes his way back over and sits down. You get the impression they take a unusual amount of pleasure in just tormenting this drow prisoner, slave.
So I walk up to Spirit and introduce myself as Ophelia and just say that I haven't heard anything about your family. I'm also here in search of my mother. I don't know if you've heard about celestials being cast down here.
I reply, shaking my head, "It's a pleasure to meet you, but no, I have not heard of anything. Forgive me, I have not actively been keeping an ear open for any news of Celestials. I've just been mainly concerned about me and my own. But if I do hear anything from here on out, I will be certain to let you know."
I understand, and I will do the same.
So without having much of anything else to talk about, I just basically turn to the nearest person and be like, "So what are you in for?"
The nearest person being who? Let me see.
I guess that would be Prince Durendal
Okay.
or Edith, one of the two, either one of those.
I'll leave it up to you.
I guess I'll speak to the prince since he's, I guess, closer to within arm's reach here.
Okay. I'm sorry, I missed that name. I apologize. Which one?
Prince Durendal.
Okay. So he is definitely a creature that catches you off guard. I'm going to send you pictures of them as they come up. You do not need to keep the pictures up. You're more than welcome to. But it's the same pictures mostly the same pictures I sent you on the page, but I do want you to be able to see them in the game. So this Quaggoth is a very unusual creature. Quaggoths tend to be mostly bestial They're definitely they tend to have a little bit of intelligence. They can definitely communicate. They're used as guards and slaves in the Underdark. But this one is very unusual. He's 8-9 feet tall. The Quaggas in the wild tend to be creatures that don't wear clothes. They attack with their claws. But this one is dressed in silks. He has a high collar that goes all the way up, as you see in the picture. And after you ask him, he turns to you and he says that he is an elf prince, captured by the drow and polymorphed into a Quaggoth by a curse.
I was just about to say, hey, you don't look like no elf I've ever seen. But yeah, I can understand polymorph. That's rough.
He said an evil wizard usurped his crown from the high forest named Terester, and he sold him or paid the drow to capture him after polymorphing him.
Say, ow.
Assuming that was aimed at Darendil, Ayke.
Yeah.
As far as I mean, absolutely, he seems to be telling the truth. I mean, with a 19, as best you can tell.
Interesting.
Unless he beats a 19.
Yeah. So I turn to Eldith and I'm like, okay, so what's your story?
Pull up her portrait for you. She says she is a scout for the Dwarven Kingdom of Gauntlgrim. She says that with an amazing amount of pride. And she says that her people have recently reclaimed their ancient Dwarven Kingdom. And she was captured on a scouting expedition.
I'm about to say, yeah, I understand that.
I look over and I ask her, how's Drestu Warden?
She says he hasn't been seen in Gauntlgrim in some time, as far as she last knew. But she wasn't one to know him personally. She worked in the lower tunnels.
What a shame.
I'm going to have to read those books. I've never read them at all.
Oh, they're so good.
Keep your personal obsessions with Drist and Jarlaxle. Bordering on creepy.
So I guess I move around the room, just kind of looking at the others and just kind of asking about them.
Okay. The two deep gnomes kind of move off and huddle close to each other. They seem to definitely resemble very clearly brother and sister. The Kawatoa in the top between Ayke and Darendil is very strange. For those of you, which is many of you, who have knowledge of the Underdark, Kawatoa are crazy. Kawatoa, if you recall from the last campaign, Kawatoa are insane creatures. Their entire race is cursed with insanity. From birth to death, they're all insane. Their goddess is a creature that exists by power of their insane devotion. One of the things about insanity is you believe what you believe with such passion that it's more than most people who have logical ability to doubt. Now, they're an insane race. Their goddess is made up, although their beliefs make it real. Shushar, as he introduces himself, is very different. He's sitting in the meditation pose, very, very peaceful and calm. He almost exudes a peaceful presence. When you talk to him, he doesn't seem insane like you would expect from a Kawatoa. He tells you, I mean, he's definitely the most sane madman you've ever seen. He tells you that he is from a small village that was raided by the Drow. He was forced to stay back and work to calm his people, and the last to be sent to the slave markets.
See, I don't think my character would know anything about the Kawatoa.
Probably not.
So she just kind of accepts him at face value. So I turn to Ayke and I kind of look him up and down, and I'm like, "You're a tall boy." So
How's the weather up there?
What got you thrown in here?
Ike doesn't say anything.
I said, strong silent type, huh? Well, you just keep doing your thing. Immediate
So
about
the
face.
the gnome next to you leans over, the one marked Jim Jar. He leans over to you right as you're kind of talking to him and says, "Yeah, he's a bugbear. They're grumpy creatures. I bet you tomorrow night's rations I can make him show some emotion before you can."
I said, no shit, and I look over to him. Don't look like any bugbear I've ever seen. But then I promptly ignore him again, so. So I try to peek around Jim Jar to the kobold behind him. I just kind of flash my best motherly smile. As best I can, anyway.
I'm assuming there's lots of, sharp cat teeth.
I guess a couple of fangs, yeah.
Yeah. He does not seem to be a fan of that.
He's just like, you don't have to be afraid of me, sweetie. I don't bite. Very
What
hard.
language did you speak to him in?
Common.
He just blinks at you like no understanding.
Don't speak common. Alright, fair enough. So I turn over to Sereth. And I just kind of don't say anything at first. I just kind of gaze at him piteously. I kind of get the feeling he probably wants to be alone. But I give him a respectful bow of the head. And I turn back to the twins. I don't expect I'm going to get much of anything out of them, so I kind of leave them be. And I pace over to Rolen.
So Roland's just kind of sitting in the corner, and he sees you approach, but he just kind of doesn't really look up, and he's just like kind of sitting there twiddling his thumbs.
I said, I don't suspect you're going to want to share anything with the class either, huh? Alright, well, fair enough.
You hear him speak, but it's like in a really low, grumbly voice, and I'm assuming you don't understand that.
Yeah, no, hablo de nonsense. So I kind of take position in the middle of the room, and I just kind of slowly turn 360 degrees to just kind of meet eyes with everyone and just kind of stroke my chin.
So Jim Jar walks over to Kosjurkis. He sits down next to him and goes, "That is one talkative cat. Are they all like that from your part of the world?"
We Tabaxi are very naturally curious creatures, yes.
He turns to Kosjurkis and switches to Undercommon and says, "I bet you a gold piece that I can get a piece of her tail fur before you can."
I shoot him a sharp glance.
He's speaking Undercommon.
And I speak in Undercommon very clearly. Try anything, and your throat will be slit before the night is thrown.
Kosjurkis responds in Undercommon to Jim Jar. Has no coin. None.
He holds his hands up at Spirit, this is just a playful bet. Nice kitty. Nice kitty.
I bare my fangs and hiss at him again. But other than that, I just kind of turn back. And I just kind of move back over toward the door. Thinking,
At this point, Ike's pretending to sleep.
Okay.
Because you said it's almost nighttime, right? Or like
It is. You
we've been
guys
up
can
for
go to
some
bed
time?
whenever you want.
So Ike's pretending to sleep. Yep.
yeah, I guess I'll just go ahead and I'll just settle up against the floor, or the wall, I should say.
Okay.
Bow my head forward.
Anybody else have anything they want to do before bed?
Yeah. Kosjurkis is surveying Indomitable to see if she's actually asleep.
Okay.
She is.
Alright. So he kind of starts creeping on over.
Okay. Moving on up.
Moving on up. And going to try and sleight of hand to pull out some tail fur. Oop.
Roland's just kind of watching all the while. He's not really asleep yet.
Let's see. And that is successful. You managed to get a couple furs.
And then he immediately scampers all the way back to the other side of the room.
Jim Jar kind of chuckles and tells you that he will pay you the gold piece as soon as he gets it. And says, well played. Well played.
Stealth wizard.
Hey, if all he needed was some hair, he could have just asked.
And Kosjurkis kind of, are we in like just rags, or do we have like some kind of proper clothing with pockets?
Whatever proper clothing you would have had on, they took everything in your pockets. They searched you, but they didn't give you any outfits to wear. You're wearing your clothing just with iron collar and manacles.
If I had a cloak, would they have left that?
They would not have.
Okay.
Shirt
So
and
then-
pants and boots.
He kind of he kind of furtively tucks the fur into one of his many pockets that has been just crudely sewn onto his tunic, and then kind of curls up in the corner.
Save that for later.
Gonna do some weird ass alchemy shit.
I'm glad you threw the word alchemy in there. All right. Anybody else want to steal somebody else's hair before bed?
I do want to do something, but only when everybody else appears to be asleep.
All right. Ophelia, Rolen, you going to sleep, or what are you guys doing here?
Yeah, I'm gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, sure.
All right, Ike, what you got?
So Ike would wait about, hard to tell, right? But he would wait some time, call it an hour, to make it seem as though everybody's fast asleep. And then he would attempt to get up extremely quietly. And in doing so, is the manacles and whatnot, are they clanking? Are they making noise? Is it difficult to be quiet?
You do not have disadvantage on stealth checks.
Yeah, okay. So with that roll, give it a shot. He's going to work his way as close to the gate as he can.
Okay.
Even like stepping over Indomitable.
You could just call her Spirit.
Spirit, okay.
Yeah.
Do the guards notice?
Not as far as you can tell.
Okay. Well, then let's just keep going. Well, actually, before I make that roll, sorry, gotta make a different roll first. Keys?
There are no keys on them that you can see.
don't want to make another roll, or can we roll with that roll? Is the gate even locked?
It is locked.
But they don't appear to have keys on them. What do they have on them? Daggers, crossbows.
Their weapons include, they're wearing chainmail. They have a shield. In addition to that, they have a spear that they're holding, as well as various accoutrements here or there. Nothing of any major interest, but like a pouch or two.
All right. At which point Ayke's gonna stay stealthed and turn around, make his way over to Sereth. Is Sereth sleeping?
He is.
All right. Ayke's gonna reach down and pat him down, make sure he actually has nothing. Is that sleight of hand, or?
It is a stealth and then a sleight of hand.
Yeah.
Sleight of hand to take something. That is very easily done.
Okay. So does he have anything on him? Or is
No.
he stripped just like us? Yeah, okay.
He is stripped just like you.
He has a patch of hair.
No, not Sereth.
Oh, that's the other guy. My bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so here. And then Ayke's gonna pick up just like a little bit of dirt off the ground. And then he's gonna just sprinkle it on top of Sereth's head.
Okay.
Does Sereth wake up when he does that?
Not unless you're trying to wake him up. Not with that stealth check.
No, I'm just dropping it on his head. Like a sizable enough amount that when he wakes up he's
A sizable enough amount that when he wakes up, he what?
He'd notice it.
Okay. But no, it doesn't wake him up.
Fantastic. And I'll go to sleep.
Man, we're all bullying each other. I love it.
Alrighty. So you guys are sleeping quietly and soundly, well, as soundly as you can. And as you are, going through your nightly routine, you guys hear eventually a loud clanging noise. Just clang, 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 clang. And it's just an obnoxiously loud noise. Not as loud as I can get it, but it's the sounds I got. And it shocks all of you awake. As you are shocked awake, the guards are banging on the gate with their spears, their metal tips of their spears, and they yell, "Up, Ylbith! Awful! Wake up and line up at the gate."
Like, all right, don't have to yell.
So I'm going to use the offside. They begin splitting you into groups. And so they split you into the 3 groups. They split you with Eldath, Topsy, Ophelia, and Spirit. They put you guys in one group. And then they move Darendil, Jimjar, Rolen. Is that pronounced? It's Rolen, right? Just making sure
Yep.
there's nothing tricky. And Turby, the brother of the twins. And then, of course, Sereth's, Shushar, and the other 2. And they split you up into groups. And so before we move forward, the most of the role playing in here is going to take part in a circular fashion. So obviously, I'm going to try and jump from one group to the other, but there are going to be points, obviously, like if I work with group 1 and then jump to group 2, obviously group 1, you'll have 5 minutes. So if I'm not on your group, if you want to take a break and take a leak or get a drink, no problem. But obviously you guys are going to be being split into groups, so there's going to be some time when your group isn't the focus. Be aware of that.
Understood.
So I am going to take a second and I am going to unmask this entire area that you see. So if you want to put the mouse wheel on, and real quick, as I'm starting this, I want to let you guys know, I know you guys have experience with Fantasy Grounds, but it's really, really easy to overestimate what people know and don't know. So do understand that if you forgot how to do something, please ask. Like nobody's gonna, like if you forgot how to, where the saving throws are or whatever, just be like, hey, how do you do a saving throw? So just so you guys know, I don't want anybody to feel like you can't ask any questions. But also if you have any questions relating to your character specifically. But I'm going to start unmasking this entire chamber because there is lichen mold that is phosphorescent. So you have light sources. And so I'm going to unmask the whole thing that you can see really fast so I don't have to do it individually. So if you have an interest in seeing what the place looks like, which would behoove you to have an interest, well, let's see what I can pull off here. There we go. So they're not what I wanted to do. So there are stalactites and stalagmites in various positions around here. For you guys, there are bridges that lead across. And I'm going to get the whole thing unmasked. If there's any area you have any questions about, let me know. Some areas you won't see, so I'm going to leave them masked. But for the most part, inside of buildings notwithstanding, you can see the whole outside of the cave. So for a general description, though, you guys find yourselves above this cavern floor. So as you can see, there's a cavern floor. You're above it. How much above it, you don't actually know, but you know that you're kind of up near the ceiling, which is why they're able to build in the stalactites. The floor of the area is probably 50 to 100 feet below, but you don't exactly know. Now, from the level you're at, extending down to the floor, below pretty much everywhere, except right where the waterfall is, are spider webs. Very thick, very, very layered spider webs. So if you were to, for example, jump off a bridge, you're probably not going to make it to the water. Let's put it that way. So, that having been said, and the whole thing unmasked, you guys are taken to group 1, which is going to be the group off to the left. You guys are taken to the kitchen. And the kitchen being, let me make sure I get the right one here. All right. So you guys are all taken over to the kitchen, and that is, I have different layers here. These are just empty chambers because that's what I preferred. So you 4 are taken here. In addition to being taken over here, I believe, let me make sure that this is properly sized. Oh, I guess I don't have this size here. Close that. That's 15 feet. Let's make sure this is... Okay, so yeah. This is the kitchen. You are graced, of course, not left unguarded. Those of you in the kitchen are graced with some guards. The guards you get are 3 Quagoths. And they definitely don't strike you as the most forgiving of creatures. This map's scale is intended for movement, not combat. So if you're starting a fight, I'm going to resize a couple things. But in general, this will be sufficient. There's 1 Quagoth outside and 2 inside. They are standing near the front, and they shepherd you guys towards the back. For group 1, the drow guard who gives you there, turns you over, tells you guys that you are on food prep duty. Your job is to prepare a dinner for the guards that includes blue cap mushroom bread, a broth of savory spices, and rothe steaks. There's going to be bottles of kobold spit, which apparently is something they drink.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
It's a type of sour wine brought in from Menzoberranzan. And we will get to how you do the preparation in a minute, but we're just going to start there. So you guys are on food prep. That's your job for the day. You're also going to be doing breakfast and lunch, but that's pretty much just stew that doesn't require any amount of skill to accomplish. The others of you are moved with 2 Quaigoths and 1 guard down here, and I'm going to move you down here. So this area is actually the location. Very quickly you discover the Quaigoths are using as their den. There's 6 Quaigoths inside of there, and that is going to be you 4, I'm sorry. And the drow tells you in a harsh tone that you need to move supplies towards the central area to be stocked and and organized in a fashion for the caravan arriving tomorrow. And anything that you lose or damage will be taken out of you in blood. And the last group, shocker, you guys are left with 2 Quaigoths and the last drow guard. And you guys are taken and told that you're going to take the lift to the floor
Oh shit.
of the cavern.
This
So,
is it. This is it,
is in-
Ike. We gotta run.
Is anybody got to use the bathroom or take care of anything so that I can skip you, go to another group so you can take care of what you got to take care of? Or do you just want to go in order of 1, 2, and 3?
I'm good either way.
Yeah, I'm
I'm
good.
good for now.
Same.
Okay. I think I heard you say you were good, right, Ophelia?
Yep.
Okay, so you got to do anything, group 2 or 3? You want to grab a drink or anything? That's cool. Be aware that this is your pace. If you just want to skip the role playing, which I don't advise, and just do the thing and get it done and skip over it all, that's perfectly fine by me. I'll let you have as much fun or as little fun as you want. But I have this set up to last as much or as long as you want. I started preparing for this when you guys were captured. The game you guys were captured, so I've had a long time. Not to mention it's the second time I've ran this. So for you, group 1, you are ordered to prepare blue cap mushroom bread. For those of you not familiar in the Underdark, who don't know a lot about the Underdark, those of you who don't, the drow who drops you off tells you in a very blunt and not nice manner that blue cap is a mushroom found in the Underdark, and he says it in a manner that he would be talking to a child, speaking to you as if you have some mental disability. And he says, it's inedible, but if you grind it up, you can make a flour and turn it into bread. And if you mess it up, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And he speaks, and he points to a couple jars and tells you that you need to make some spices for a broth. And he says the roast steaks, and he points to a certain area. He says, if you have any simple questions, you can ask the Quaigoth. If you have any complicated questions, I'm going to beat the shit out of you. And he turns around, and as he's leaving, he says, you're cooking for Mistress Ilvara. She does not like poorly prepared food. And then he shuts the gate on his way out. So, You guys can decide how and what you want to do it, who's going to work on what tasks, and how this is going to work is you are going to have to do each of the 3 dishes requires 2 successful skill checks. 1 success and 1 failure. You prepare the food properly, but it doesn't taste exactly the way it should. 2 failures are going to result in ruined food.
Do we have any cooking utensils?
You do. You have a series of obsidian shard knives and cleavers, and they're small. They're not like a battle axe. It's actually a cooking utensil, as well as various pots and things like that. It is worth mentioning that if you were to look at a knife and throw it at a Quaggoth going to rip your goddamn head off your shoulders. Just so we're clear, we're not talking a longsword that you can go toe-to-toe with a Quaggoth. Quaggoth are 8 feet tall and
Angry all the time.
they got some anger issues. They got some issues.
I mean, is it not doable to swipe a
It is.
utensil?
I didn't say it wasn't. That's a decision you're going to have to decide on.
I'd like to steal a knife.
Oh god.
Okay.
This is how we
So-
all die.
So as you are starting your routine, you try to steal a knife. And let's start there. Give me a sleight of hand check, please. Let me. Okay.
That's bad.
So you guys are trying to split up, and some of you are working on some things. I assume you grab a knife and you try to slip it in your pants or up your shirt in some form or fashion. Quaggoth sees you, reaches over, and punches you in the side of the head.
I was just wiping it off.
The knife goes scattering across, and you take 6 damage. It is worth noting
Ow.
that I think we messed up your hit points. I think I will fix that. Your hit points are 8, so you have 6 damage out of 8. So you are bleeding out of the side of your head. When he punched you, his long talons scratched your shoulder, which tore your clothes, and now you have 4 just raked wounds down. You're just bleeding as you're sitting there.
I immediately like rush over and I just kind of like take her side and I'm like, wait, all right, hang on, we got this. And I just kind of move her off to the side. We don't want you bleeding on the food now, here, sweetie. See if I can't do anything to try to take like a rag or something, get it wet, and try to wipe that blood off of her. I just kind of.
So the Quaggoth kind of mutters something. He says, "Get back to work."
Says,
I'll
I'll get
punch you
back to work
again.
when I'm good and ready. Taking care of a wounded one.
He punches you. He doesn't even you don't even say. He says when you start to speak, he misses, and his punch knocks everything onto the floor. And then the one next to it says, "Get back to work, clean up."
I look up at Spirit and tell Spirit to try and steal a knife.
I just glare at the Quaggoth. I glare at the Quaggoth. I flip him the bird, but then I kind of turn back to get back to work. At the same time, however,
As you turn and taking your bird down, he kicks you in the back. He says, "Stop talking."
I glare at him. I don't say anything, but if looks could kill.
All right. Eldath and Topsy kind of stand back and they just kind of first they watch you guys, and Eldath kind of walks over and you notice that she places her body, and she doesn't do it in an obvious way, but she kind of helps you up, but she places her body in a position so that if there are any further attacks, they would have to hit her to get to you. So she's like shielding your body as she's helping you up and pushing you away in a fashion to shut you the fuck up and protect you. And she says it's probably a good idea not to argue with the Quaggoth. They don't really have the intelligence to understand what it is you're saying. They're going to assume everything you say is what they would say, which is dumb and hostile and mean, and they're going to hit you for it. She says, do you argue with a bear?
No, you have a point there.
She says they are very, very, very powerful. It is not advisable for any of us to start a fight with them.
Well, I guess I'll bleed out onto the steaks and start cooking them.
Okay. So everybody's gonna work together. There's 3 dishes. You guys can decide who makes the survival check for the first dish. There's gonna be a total of 6 checks. We're gonna do them in a group.
I have 0 on survival.
Let's say I at least have a +3, so hopefully that'll help take on that.
So you can aid each other. Bear in mind, aid is a feature you should become very familiar with. Eldath has a +5 on survival. If you aid someone,
Nice.
that means you give up your roll to give them advantage.
Oh yeah, you can have my roll.
Because this is a relatively simple meal, the DC for making this food decent or successfully, let's put it that way, is a 10. So Eldath will do 1, and I just saw that I had a map up. Yes, they're more beasts and they eat meat, and they're more beasts than intelligent. But they are like their intelligence is 6. A dog is 3, and average farmer's 10. They're dumber than a farmer, smarter than a dog. It's like think of it as an uppity bear with all the anger issues.
The only reason I was thinking is that if I'm just kind of mentally thinking maybe I could prepare some food for the Quaggoths, but as soon as they eat it, they're just gonna have the worst bathroom day ever.
All right, so Eldath gets a 10, barely stops Topsy from putting too much spices in, and she manages to start on the spice part. Let's go ahead and have you. What do you want to make, Ophelia and Spirit? You going for the roast steaks?
I guess I'll go for the steaks, yeah.
Get a little extra rare blood in there. Kick to the spine and a scratch on the face and shoulder.
Well, that extra blood made it delicious as fuck.
Delicious.
The first nat 20 of the campaign is for making steaks. Nice.
I want that on record. All right. So let's get this second set out of the way. Let's get some advantage. See if you can finish up those steaks, or you get distracted bitching and actually burn them. So you seasoned them just right, but can you make them? And Eldath finishes it up. It's not the best. She definitely didn't do the best, but it's edible. Let's see what Ben's got.
Let's say do I need to roll another?
Yes. You 2 rolls for 1 thing. Oh yeah, look at him. He is making steaks over here.
Better say,
What's his name? What's your favorite chef, Tasha? Bobby Flay?
No, Emerald Lagasse.
I say I made the correct choice choosing cook's utensils as my proficiency, or my.
Now you get advantage, or if you're using your cook utensils, don't forget you get to add your +2 proficiency.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, what you want to do is at the bottom, right click or hit the brown button, and then add a new skill. Just type cooking, and then treat it like survival and add your proficiency to it. If you already add proficiency, then you can just use survival. It'll be the same. You don't need to add a new one. Looks like survival already has proficiency. So.
All right. Because I hit down the edit list and it.
You don't need to. Just go ahead and use survival because I see you have the proficiency.
Okay.
If you didn't, you would need to add a new one.
All right.
Okay, and you guys can work together on the bread with the spices. And so you can do one check and they can do one check, unless you guys are wanting to steal something or do something else.
No, I'll work on the bread. Or do I need to do 2 rolls for that too?
Eldath is going to do the other one.
All right.
All right, I'm just taking my own notes. So Eldath is going to do that check. See if she can get the stuff you put on it, and she comes out, and you guys come out with some really, really, really good food, except for the broth. The broth's a bit off. So that's definitely something you guys are learning. So through there, Topsy kind of leans over towards you guys, and she's very quiet at the beginning, and she leans over towards Ophelia and Spirit, and she kind of, after cooking most of the day, because it does take time to cook, she leans over and says, "You should be very careful back talking, because the guards will not hesitate to kill you for it. The Quagoths aren't smart enough to try and make an example of you. They'll hit you and move on. The Drow will throw you into the spider web and then walk away. Or bet on how long it takes you to die."
Say good to know. Hard lesson learned, but hard lesson indeed.
So before we move to group 2, do you guys have anything else you want to do? You want to risk those last 2 hit points, Ophelia?
Not at this time.
Fair enough. What about you, Spirit?
No.
Yeah.
I've already got natural knives in my hands anyway, so.
Getting punched in the side of the head and then kicked in the back tends to function as a discouragement.
I kind of get the feeling that cat claws aren't going to do much shit about it on Quagoths, though.
You know, you never know till you try.
Yeah, I'm not exactly in the best options to really do any combat, so I think I'm just going to hold off for that for now.
All right. We'll skip up top to group 2. And Rolen, Darendil, Jimjar, and Turvy. Turvy's very quiet. He definitely... I'll recenter the map for everybody. Turvy doesn't talk. He mutters under his breath. It's like a hybrid form of Undercommon and gibberish. He stays out of it. Doesn't talk much. Prince Darendil moves over to Rolen, and he says, "You are very unlike any bugbear I have seen. Are you from the surface or the Underdark?"
That was Prince Darendil that said that?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to speak back in Elvish because I heard that he said that he was an elf earlier.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say, I am not a bugbear, my friend. I am a furbolg.
Ah, my mistake. And he says, "Well, what are you then? Where are you a forest creature?"
My homeland is in the Elven country of Avamit, though alone I was outcast.
So Darendil says, "Elves." He says, "I," and he kind of like stands himself up in a very like noble fashion, as close to a Quagos noble as he could get. And he kind of stands up and says, "I am an elven prince. I am from an elven kingdom in the high forest, the rightful heir to the throne." And it sounds very like he sounds very haughty when he says it as well. And he says, "Have you ever heard of my kingdom? It is the kingdom of Nelrindelviane."
Have I heard of that?
Give me an intelligence check. No, you have never heard of that.
Strange, I have traveled far and wide and I have never heard of that kingdom.
He looks a little crestfallen, and then he says, "Well, we keep a low profile." And the drow behind you, as you move in there, he points to the stack of supplies. It appears that this is where they keep their supplies. And he points at a group of supplies that's off in that alcove to the right, not displayed because I didn't want to bog down the server. And he says, "You need to move that across the bridges." And he says, "The Quagos will point you on your way." And he tells you very clearly, like beyond it, he makes as clear as he can. He says, "Please understand, if you drop it, we will kill you. If you try to jump, we have no use for disobedient slaves." He says, and he pulls out his crossbow, and he says, "Do you have any confusion?"
I just shake my head. Roland shakes his head.
Fair enough. And I'm going to send a map real quick of a side view of the area here. It's a rather large map, so you're going to have to scroll left to right, but it is a side view that is great for providing context. So the chamber group 2 is in. That's off to the very left there, that open chamber. You can see the prison cell with the gate. And you can see how the vertical you are. So you go down, then you have to go up to the prison cell, and then you go across. And then the door there is going to be, the kitchen door is behind. If you scroll off to the right, the kitchen door would be right here behind this stalagmite. Oh, I'm sorry, stalactite. So that's you can close that if you want. It's just kind of for perspective. So the moving a crate is going to require a strength check or athletics. If you work with someone else, it's going to take, the gist of it is, let me explain this. You're going to need to move the crates. It's going to take a total of 10 checks. There's 10 crates that need to be moved. You can move them. They are heavy. It's a strength check to get it there. If you choose to work together, it will cost you 20 checks, but you'll get advantage on them. If you fail the DC of 13 by 5 or more, you drop it.
Okay. I have powerful build trait. Does that do anything?
Let me check. I need to check that trait. I don't have the Furbog.
It's basically just saying that I count as like one size larger when determining what I can carry and push.
No, it doesn't affect this.
Okay.
It's just how much you can carry, not how challenging it is.
Okay. So I guess we'll go 2 by 2, or else I'll help Jim Jar or whoever wants me.
Jim Jar looks at you, Rolen, and says, they give us the mushroom bread crushed up into gruel at night for food. I will give you my portion if you can carry more crates than I can without help.
I'm going to say back to him, that is a foolish end. Why not help each other and get the task done more?
He says, what's the matter? Are you scared of a little wager?
I wish not to compete with you.
He shrugs and says, I understand. No hard feelings. He says, I will help you carry a crate, though. And he doesn't seem to take it very hard. He seems very friendly. Kind of grabs whatever crate you're working on, and he goes to help you. He has not high on athletics, so he's going to give you advantage.
I don't have high athletics either, so but whatever.
So I just checked. Yours are identical. So it'd probably be, yeah. So you are able. So you get one crate. Let me grab a scrap piece of paper to keep track of this. So you guys get one crate of them. All right. So 10 checks. There's 2 of you. Let's just assume. I feel like it's a safe assumption that Darendil is going to be a little bit stronger. And he rocks out with a 13. But you guys managed to move 2 of them. What do you guys? You ready? You just want to keep making those rolls there? Or you want Jim Jar to make them?
Yeah, we can keep making them. But we pass by the Quaggoths every time, right?
That is correct.
All right, so I'm gonna be like kind of speaking under my breath in more of in my giant speech, but because I have speech of beast and leaf, I get like advantage. Like they'll understand me like kind of no matter what, I guess, because they're kind of more beast.
Okay. They speak Undercommon as their language, but
I don't know. The speech of beast and leaf just says I can communicate them in kind of a limited manner, and they'll be able to understand me no matter.
I think that's if they're like objectively their creature type is beast.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He is not a beast. They are
then
technically humanoids, but they're barely.
No, I'm not even gonna try then. Never mind.
Fair enough. So when you pass through the center area right there, you notice there are 3 guards, and I want to go ahead and give you that description for your general use. So this tower here, connected by the rope bridges, the lower chamber here where they're at. Yeah, you see 2 drow guards and 1 guy who seems to be maybe a lieutenant or maybe a sergeant. He's wearing studded leather, and he is carrying a pair of short swords and a hand crossbow. So he is definitely armored with better weapons. And this lower chamber, they're on guard duty. They have like guard windows across the bridge, like the way they're standing in front of the doors. If you were to be charging the bridge, for example, they could open a slot and shoot you, and you wouldn't be able to attack them. It's a guard bridge. So you notice that in addition to the 2 guards, there's apparently a guard post in here. There's a table, 3 small chairs, some spider silk webbing that's hanging on the wall for equipment, various areas here and there. And in addition to that, you notice that there is an upper chamber. There is some type of spider silk ladder going up to a closed hatch. So, just so for your general information there, the guards obviously get out of your way when you come through, but they definitely, as you guys are moving through, they're definitely bored but attentive. So let's go ahead with the second round of checks. Get Darendil back up.
Whew.
Look at this little fancy Furbolg. All right, Darendil, let's do it. On the 16, you guys get 2 more. All right. And as you come through, let's go with another set. Let's see how many. Using the advantage. What can you do? Look at you. So as you're going through, you and Jimjar are moving through, and you're moving through that center tower area, and one of those guards tries to trip Jimjar. And I believe, remind me if I'm wrong there, Tanner, when you try to knock somebody prone, they get a strength saving throw or a strength check to prevent it, right?
Yep.
Okay. That's what I thought. So he tries to trip him, and Jimjar stumbles, and you almost drop it. But he manages to regain his balance, and the guards kind of laugh about it. And the sergeant there kind of smirks, but doesn't say anything.
Just keep my head low and continue on.
Okay. All right. It looks like we got 6, so we got 2 more checks for each of you.
Okay. Oh shit.
Uh-oh.
And looks like Darendil picks this up and almost drops it. And he got an 11, so he's going to try again. That was his first one. I try to share him, not all the time. So give me a dexterity saving throw. Rolen, see if you can catch it before you drop it. The manacles.
Oh, okay.
The manacles seem to provide a little difficulty, and you drop it. And let's see. A 6, you actually pop the lid off, and it looks like it is a number of spider silk rolls of silk, as well as some bottles of Menzoberrans and wine. And the drow guard, as you drop it, he apparently seems to blame Jimjar, and just swings his spear and hits Jimjar right in the back of the neck, doing 6 damage to him, knocking him on his face. And he says, "Those supplies are worth more than any of you slaves. If you drop another one, I'm going to plunge this spear into the back of your head. Pick it up. Now." And let's see, give me another check. Look at that. You guys managed to get that one over there. And the last one, as you each of you 2 pairs are moving your supplies, Darendil manages to get his, and you manage to get yours. It takes you a couple hours. These are pretty heavy. You're carrying stuff.
I kind of just say to Jimjar, like, "I'll heal your wounds later," kind of thing.
He kind of nods and kind of shakes his head a little bit, and he says, "I bet you I'll feel better by tonight."
Bet you
Betcha.
like gold piece.
All right. Is there anything you guys desire to try to do with Group 2 before we move to Group 3?
I'm good.
All right. Since you're the only player, I'm going to skip to Group 3. So Group 3, I'm going to zoom out the map and reallocate it. So the lift, the glorious lift, takes you down. It's operated by 2 Quaggoths standing nearby. It's pretty heavy. It's pretty sturdy, I'm sorry. You don't know exactly, as I said, how far down you go, but it's a decent distance. It's not it's not a short drop. You probably wouldn't survive if you fell. So as you get down there, the drow guard kind of looks at you guys, and he kind of looks at Sereth, and he kind of smirks, and he moves you guys over here. And right over here, where he's standing, there's a massive pile of rocks where the Quaggoth is. And he puts the other Quaggoth down here, and he explains to you, for the glory of Mistress Elvara of House Mizram, your duty today, slaves, or I need you to take these piles of rocks and move them from this Quaggoth to the other Quaggoth. And once you get them down there, I would like you to sort them by size from largest to smallest, left to right. Now, he said, split yourselves into 2 groups of 2. And you 2 get to decide who you're pairing up with.
I'll pair up with my smaller friend here.
All right.
Alright, so you guys pair up like that, and the drow says, just to motivate you, Sereth, since you're such a useless piece of filth, whichever one of you finishes last, I'm going to have the Quaggoth explain to you the price of failure. And he kind of smirks. So this is how this is going to work. So carrying these, it's going to require 2 sets of 6 checks. Athletics to carry it. So 1 athletics is going to be DC 11 athletics check. You can, as I said, just like before, you can do 6 checks with advantage or 12 checks without advantage, DC 11. Once you get them down there, going to need 6 or, I'm sorry, I said 11, 12 checks that are going to be investigation to sort them, DC 11. First one to succeed on the 6 group or 12 individual checks of both athletics and investigation wins.
We got this.
Well, let's find out. Are you guys going to work together? Or are you guys going to work individually?
I think Kosjurkis is definitely not strong enough to be lifting rocks on his lonesome. I have a -2 to my strength modifier.
On a scale of -1 to 2, what would your strength score be?
It is 6.
Alright, what you got?
So Ayke just looks down at his little friend and says, you help me, I will do the heavy lifting.
Did you say that in undercommon?
Yeah.
Okay, good. He nods a lot.
Okay, here we go.
Woo!
Okay, so let's do it in groups so that I can track who gets first. But we will do our best. We'll do all the strength checks first. So they get a 21. So let me get my paper here. Let's see.
Oh shit! So they're winning?
No, it's success or failure. So you both get it down there. All right. We're just gonna do all the athletics checks together. So you go ahead.
Now, sorry to throw a cog in it, but in that process, can I make a perception check to see if there's any other guards who appear to be watching us? Like even up on the cliffside there?
Absolutely.
Oh, sorry, that was not supposed to be with advantage.
That's fine. So yes, you notice there are guards in the. Let's see. The two towers, stalagmites from the left and right. Stalactites from around the lift, looking down at you. They have crossbows, light crossbows.
Okay. So sorry, another athletics check?
Yes, sir, with advantage, of course. All right. Shushar and Sareth have 2 over. Let's see. Let's get the third round going. All right, so they get the third over. All right, next. Look at you.
Kosjurkis is like scrambling around, picking up any little rocks that have fallen on the ground.
So you notice that Sareth, on the fourth one, Sareth starts to twitch, like his eyes are twitching as you're passing him. You're not watching very much, and you hear Shushar kind of whispering under his breath. He says, "Be calm, my drow friend. Be calm. Easy." And you hear their feet behind you shortly after, so you assume it worked. And they get back on it. All right, number 3. There they go.
Number four, right?
I'm sorry, number 4. Yes.
We're 3 for 3, right? Or now?
You're 4. You're 3 for 4. Both of you are. They get the fourth one over, no problem.
Uh-oh.
And you don't. All right.
This might be too late, but I have powerful build. Does that matter at all?
It doesn't.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I asked that. Same thing.
I was wondering if maybe it was a different. I don't know. Just
So
reaching.
you got to try.
Yeah. Another one?
Yes, sir. This would be to move your fourth one since you failed that one.
Oh no.
And for their fifth one, they got a 14. And so for their last one and your fourth one, they popped out with an 18 and get their last one over there. And you guys get your fourth one. So I'm gonna draw a line here for this. So they're gonna do intelligence checks, investigation, working together, and you're gonna do an athletics. There you go. You got number 5, and they got a 20.
Oh my god.
So they've sorted one, and there you go. You get your 6th over, and they managed to get their second one sorted.
Which one of us is better at investigating?
Small one.
Mm.
Can you investigate and sort these out with ease?
Yes. And he starts shifting the rocks around.
All right.
I have an actual bonus to this.
Let's get this. So you have one sorted, and they start to sort theirs. And Shushar leans over and says, "Sareth, those are organized and properly." And Sareth kind of starts hitting himself in the head with one of the rocks in his hand, to the point where he does 2 points of damage to himself with the rock. And they have 2 organized. You got Rolen.
Would you like me to make another investigation?
Yes, you guys are going to do one more. You're going to do a couple more. You guys have 1 sorted. They have 2. But Shushar manages to get him calmed down and refocused. And they sort their 3rd.
So, sorry, just during the little outburst that he had, not a great roll, but Ike's going to take just like a few steps like this way, like tight to the wall. Does the Kyogath, or how you pronounce that, is he like, does it notice me?
Yes. You take a step closer to him, and he lets you know he is not very happy with your presence and gives you a little growl.
And I'll step right back.
All right, so you guys have 2 sorted out of 6. They
I
have
got 3. I
3.
think. I just rolled a 20.
I think I might
Unless
be wrong.
the difficulty is different, I got 12, 18, and 24.
Then I'm mistaken. You guys have 3. They have 3. I'm sorry, they have 4 because they started before you. So,
All right.
and that
Hustling.
puts you hustling. So that's 4. I'm doing them at the same time for posterity's sake.
All right.
And then let's see. So you give me a second to catch up. So this will be theirs. It's 11. So that's their 5th. You got your 5th, and then if they get this one, they win. If they miss it, you win.
Oh
Oh.
no! I want to see if I did it anyway. Woo!
10.
This is what I'm good at: sorting
This is-
rocks.
Sorting rocks. And so they managed to get theirs sorted just prior to you, and the Drow walks over, and when he walks over, he explicitly and intentionally kicks all the rocks that you guys just sorted completely out of the way. Just gives them a kick, they go flying. And he turns around and he orders the Quaggoth to basically beat the hell out of you guys, but tells them not to kill you. Basically non-lethal damage. No claws, just fists. Is it your intention to fight back, or just kind of try to minimize the beating?
Kosjurkis definitely is just trying to minimize the beating.
Yep.
All right. So they do manage, obviously, being what they are. Quaggoth, they have a conversation with you guys. They basically beat you guys to the point where you take a single level of exhaustion.
Oh, great.
Oh shit!
I'm just going to.
They take a 10 on beating us up.
They did.
Mhm.
They took a 10, and when that happens, after that, Sereth, while they're like pounding on you guys, Sereth lets out a scream and charges the Quaggoths randomly and just starts swinging, like out of the blue, not like in a sane I'm gonna defend my friends or oh these guys didn't deserve it, like a maniac, like an insane lunatic. And they just pound him to pulp as well. Yeah, you're knocked unconscious.
Oh, gotcha.
You're not
Gotcha.
stealthing
Okay.
anywhere.
All right.
Let me type this up for my notes. Alright, so Sereth is beaten as well, and as the evening comes to a conclusion, everybody is moved back into, if you would be so kind as to move your tokens back into the prison, I will move the NPCs. Save me just a minor amount of headache.
Oh, went to the wrong room. Sorry.
Don't worry, I moved them there first, so.
I'm smart.
And Ophelia,
All these caves look the same.
if you would be kind enough to move yourself to the
I'm
hole there.
I'm assuming that the us unconscious ones are just kind of unceremoniously dumped into the cell.
You
That's
know, you're a smart cookie.
Good point. Good point. Yeah.
So, for those of you who were on kitchen duty and moving stuff duty, let's get the names right. Ayke and Kosjurkis, as well as Sereth, are carried by Quaggoth. They're bloody, they're beaten, they look like they've just been monkey stomped. They're not slashed, they haven't taken damage in the same fashion as Ophelia, who has a massive set of claw scrapes down her arm, and the little kitty cat has a kick on its back with toe talons, and they slide bowls of gruel into there, and they start letting you guys eat. Now, the ones who are asleep, they don't necessarily wake you guys up, but you do wake up shortly after. Nobody takes your food unless it's one of the players. None of the players take it. But you have bowls of gruel by you.
Yum, yum, yum.
Well, this is the best food that Kosjurkis has had in a while. Kobolds don't really have a solid, stable diet, so he's just eating it up. He's loving it.
Roland's just gonna kind of walk over to Ophelia and Spirit and would you like some aid, young ones?
That would be great. Thank you.
I guess he's just gonna do his best to clean them up, and fail.
I was like, yeah, it'd definitely be appreciated.
Would it help if I rammed my finger into this cut? No? Okay.
Is
Can I
this
give
where it
myself-
hurts?
Can I give myself guidance and just get like a +4 or a +2?
I can try. So, little known fact, recently learned fact, as you give yourself guidance, you start to cast your spell, and you notice that a powerful ward on the floor of this chamber glows when you cast a spell, and it instantly counterspells your spell.
Oh,
So they've already thought of that. Good to know.
Give me a perception check for everybody who's not been beaten unconscious.
Man, I'm not complaining about rolling 20s, but man, if this keeps up, I'm probably gonna start rolling a bunch of ones like later on. So I used all my good rolls so early in the morning. So early.
Spirit and Rolen. See, Ophelia, give me a perception check, please. So, Rolen and Spirit, you notice that the lines of this rune go directly to the gate. They include the gate, but the lines that are drawn of this rune do not extend past the gate.
So if we can just get out the gate, then we can use magic. Alright.
So, Shushar makes his way over. Sareth kind of huddles over in a corner. Shushar makes his way over and tries to tend to the wounds of Kosjurkis and Ayke. And once he gets you awake, he ensures no one messes with your food, and he apologizes for being, and he says it in a very calming voice, "My apologies, friends, for being the cause of that."
No apology required. You are good with rocks.
Kosjurkis is too busy trying to eat his food to really respond in any way.
Slurping it down.
Slurping it down. He's lived with a lot of other kobolds, so he's not one to let food lie around for too long.
Makes sense. When you guys are ready, you guys can move around as you choose. And Jimjar makes his way over to Ophelia, and he says, "I bet you the second gold piece I get that I can flip my spoon 3 times in the air and catch it with the other hand behind my back."
She just ignores him.
as he's doing this, I'm trying to patch him up.
I kind of just smirk over at Jim Jar and just say, That sounds like something any reasonably dexterous person can do. I could probably do that myself.
He says, "Oh, I bet you 2 gold pieces." He says, "I'm a man who always honors my debts. The first one goes to the Kobold, if he doesn't die. All bets are off if you die. It's not my fault."
Well, that's understandable.
"I bet you 2 gold pieces. I can do it 3 times before you can do it 3 times."
Sure, we ain't got nothing else for entertainment in here. I'll take you on that.
Sounds good. It's a dexterity check, DC 14. Look at you. He misses, drops his spoon. You and he
Fumbled.
both miss and drop your spoon. So you got 1, he's got 0. All right, let's try again. He catches it, and you drop your spoon. He kind of looks over at you. He goes, 1 and 1.
Even with the 17?
I'm sorry, he drops his. And so you have 2 and 1. He looks over at you and says, 2 and 0. You're good, kitty cat.
All right.
And he flips his up really high, and he snatches it out of the air with a natural 20. And he says, "Come on. I got. It takes me a minute to warm up." He flips his up again. Let's see what you get, kitty. All right, you catch yours a 3rd time, and he drops his. He managed to catch it once out of 4 tries, and you got it 3 out of 4. And he kind of holds his hands up and says, "I bow to the kitty cat master."
I fold my hands together and I just kind of bow forward again in respect as well.
He kind of scoops his spoon up and goes and plops down, and a mood of cheer that you wouldn't really expect from a drow prisoner, and scarfs down his food. And Rolen provided some medical care. Shushar provided some additional medical care.
I would like some medical care.
I think Rolen provided it to you.
Yep. Or at least tried.
They tried.
I appreciate your efforts.
So Jimjar kind of looks over and says,
or maybe I can. I'll punch your wounds healed. Punch, 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 punch.
So Jimjar looks over at Spirit, who's pretty much so far been the only person to not rebuff his bets, even though the Kobold took it. He says, "So, out of curiosity, how did you guys get all slashed up? Did you try to steal the fur off a Quaggoth tail? Because that's not the same thing."
I just wiped the knife off on my pants, and I got hit.
Just out of curiosity, is there like a mirror or anything in the cell?
There is not.
Oh, dang. Okay. Because if there was, I would have just had Spirit like look directly at herself, like at her own reflection, and say somebody decided to mouth off, and just kind of glare at herself. But no.
That perception check, I wanted to kind of check the cell to see if I can find any like small rat bones or anything of the sort.
There are not any rat bones.
Damn.
With our food, did we get a spoon?
You did. You got a wooden spoon.
Oh dang.
Can I sharpen that down into a?
On the ground?
Yeah, just like it's like a cement ground or something, right?
Yes, it is. It's stone.
Yeah, just on the stone.
Okay. So Ophelia's over there, just scrape, 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 scrape. It's not like super loud, but it's, it gets your guys' attention, the people within 5 feet of her. Sarah sees you doing it, and he goes, "Go here."
He just nopes the fuck out of there.
Fuck this shit, I'm out. And Eldath, she did a perception check here. She was not necessarily close enough, but she was actually paying attention to you after your antics today. And she kind of moves over and puts her body kind of in the way to shield you from the guards. And at the same time, what'd you say?
I said, that's what's up.
And she kind of looks at you in a disapproving manner, like this is a bad idea, but she's still like blocking you as best she can.
Oh, look at Miss Moreau here.
This seems unsanitary to me.
So did I complete the shiv?
Let's see. Give me an athletics check. Let's see how fast you can scrape. Oh yeah, you scraped that nice. You got you a shiv.
Can I hide it on my person?
Yeah.
And Ophelia gonna shank a mofo.
Be a sleight of hand to see how well you hide it. When they search you, if they ever search you, they remember that number, and that's what they'll have to get on their investigation to find it.
Okay. So, I asked the group where everybody went when they left the cell.
Don't forget, real quick, Ophelia, before everybody starts talking, you'll have to do a sleight of hand on your skills to. There we go.
They ain't find shit.
We have a different opinion of a number 9.
Hide it in your prison wallet.
No.
Oh, yuck!
We've been here for a week at most, guys. Come on.
I've been here for 9 days.
We made it for 2 hours and 5 days before a prison wallet joke was made. I'm impressed. You guys did good.
I mean, if I hide it in my prison wallet, is it more secure?
No, the 9
advantage.
I get advantage.
No, you do not.
I
will not condone this action.
I was very just holding back within suggesting Victoria's Secret compartment. Just slide it down your shirt.
All right. So she asked where you guys went to. I'm going to use the restroom while you guys talk.
Say, we got dragged down to the kitchens and forced to cook. Sexist pigs. Thinking that we'd be useful for cooking because we're women. Cook it.
It would be wise to not upset the Kogoths from now on, children. I'm assuming I'm the oldest one here. I don't know.
I'm very young. I'm like 19-ish.
I'm like 225, so.
You're over than me then.
Shushar says to you guys, and he like moving up to beside Rolen, says, "The Quaggoths are quick to anger. I agree with the Furbolg. It'd be wise to avoid their ire."
You ain't gonna tell me twice.
How many Kogoths did you all see? I saw 3.
We saw 3 in our room also.
Yeah.
We saw 2. And also, I guess everyone would have saw the drow in the middle, though, right? Because everyone had passed.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, Prince Darendil says, "I have counted in my time here. There are a total of 19 drow, including the leaders, and 12 Quaggoth.
I recommend that everyone make themselves a shiv.
I am a pacifist by nature. I will not be helping in this endeavor.
It's for personal protection, not for vicious violence.
It means no difference to me.
I would think that a Quaggoth would not be hurt by a shiv. I think if we're going to survive, we will have to be quiet.
For clarification, is this conversation in common?
I assume all conversations are in Undercommon because you're in the Underdark. So the assumption is Undercommon.
Yep.
Unless somebody doesn't speak Undercommon, at which point somebody can actually translate.
Okay.
Sounds
Let's
good
see,
to me.
Ophelia. All of you speak Undercommon. And all of the creatures here, including Eldath, speak Undercommon. So
I think I put
We'll
that
ju-
in my sheet wrong. Hang on.
you did not. It came up correctly.
Oh, that just came up as nothing
It,
logical.
it shouldn't. Should have said,
I see.
So, everybody, we'll just work off the assumption that everybody's speaking Undercommon.
Okay.
So, Eldath scoots over in this conversation and she says, I don't agree with the large one. I don't think waiting is going to provide us anything but additional slavery. If we want to escape, we're going to have to free ourselves. But with all due respect, I don't believe your sharpened spoon is going to help in any way.
I toss my spoon back in my slop and feel defeated.
Jimjar kind of scoots over and takes your spoon and breaks it. Not the whole thing, just the tip off, and then puts his spoon in your bowl and then moves back and says that you probably shouldn't give them back a spoon with a sharpened point.
To say, yeah, that's not a bad idea. To say, I kind of get the feeling they'd probably search us for any weapons, improvised or not, anyway.
I just sit there with a pouty face.
I said, if they thought ahead to put an anti-magic field in a cell, they've probably got some countermeasures already thought up for something like that. It's not a bad idea, though, so don't feel too bad.
Sareth kind of raises his voice a little bit and he says, "This is a permanent outpost." Then he goes back to what he was doing.
That insight check is to see, are the guards listening?
They're attentive. It doesn't appear like they're leaning in. So as best you can tell with the 22, no, they're not actively listening to all the chatter.
All right.
But they're also actively alert if something were to, happen.
Right.
Now, we're going to keep going. I'm not stopping the game, but I do want to make it clear that this is completely your show. I don't want anybody to feel bogged down by this. The beginning of this game is heavy role playing. So I don't want anybody to stop having fun because, you guys are split up in groups and you're waiting on your turn, or that you're slaves for 2 or 3 games. So is everybody, I know we talked about it at the beginning, but I'm just double checking. Everybody's cool with the understanding here about the role playing for the first few games and being slaves of the drow as part of this campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I signed up for.
I assumed, but I'm just double checking. All right, so it's you notice Topsy, the female, moves her way over as well, and kind of her brother comes along and she says, I know that, she kind of lowers her voice. She said, I've been watching the drow. She says, so what I understand is that there's recently been a shakeup in their rankings. The ugly one used to be in charge, but then he got injured, and the young studly one got promoted above him. I don't know if we can use that, but I know that there seems to be some movement in the ranks.
I'm like, is that right?
I just kind of like do an insight check just to see if she's being trickier or not.
Yeah, same here.
As far as you can tell, she's being forthcoming.
I sit down, legs crossed against the wall, and just kind of look contemplative. And I kind of gaze over at Sereth and then back over to the twins. I say, you wouldn't happen to be referring to him, would you?
She shakes her head, like trying not to be rude, but she shakes her head no.
Okay. Fair enough.
I just like the offhanded, like, the ugly one's got to be him.
Well, that was what I meant.
Yeah.
When they referred to the ugly one, they were referring to Sereth. That was what I meant. And when she shook her head no, I was like, oh, okay, well, fair enough then. So I'm just kind of like thinking to myself,
This is your show. You tell me when you're ready for everybody to go to sleep. Until then, I'm going to let you guys go, and the NPCs are involved as much or as little as you want.
well, I'm just going to kind of sit back and I'm just going to hang my head and drift off. But at this point, I'm actively thinking about, okay, what can we do to get out of here?
A plan must be made. An opportunity must arise.
Say, yeah, that's not a bad. I mean, you're kind of hitting the nail on the head there. We need to get out of here, but there's no way we can fight these guys off. Not as we are now. If we fight, we're just gonna wind up dead.
I agree with Ayke. I believe that we should wait and watch carefully.
I say, I kind of fidget. I'm like, I don't like the idea of having to wait, but wait we will.
Something to consider is that there is one way off of this plateau that we have seen. And that way appears to be a levee system where at least 2 people will be needed to lower it.
In the 9 days that I've been here, Tony, have I seen, or I guess 10 now, have I seen the spider that made those webs?
You have never looked.
Okay.
Damn.
You've been otherwise occupied.
I'm going to keep an eye out for that from now on.
Duly noted.
And I'll probably just start going to bed unless you guys keep going.
I say, I'm drifting off to sleep. I can't think of anything else.
Suffering from exhaustion over here.
Okay. What about you?
Ike just pulls out that spider that he's got. Like, and he's just like holding it in his hand, just like seeing what it's gonna do. Because it's just been in my possession this whole time, right?
Correct.
So like it
I mean,
just like
you probably
calmly
don't carry
sits.
him around. You probably like it probably doesn't. You don't carry it around. You probably like have a little niche. You stuff his ass in there, and put a rock over it or something.
I'm saving this for later.
But he's pretty chill, pretty calm.
He seems pretty chill.
All right.
So you got yourself
Rolen
a
kind of just. Can I see like Rolen playing with the spider?
You can.
Or I see Ayke. Sorry.
I know what you meant.
So he kind of goes over and asks, may I see your spider friend?
Yes. And Ike hands it over.
Gotcha.
All right, then I'm gonna like kind of with my beast speech, kind of whisper to the spider and ask it to find the creature that made the bigger spider web, if it can.
Okay.
I don't have a special ability to understand them, but they could probably like just kind of tell me, point in a general direction of where he could be found.
Okay. It can basically head off in the direction. Like you want it to find it, and then what?
I don't know. Might befriend the spider, the big spider.
Okay. So Ike, your spider starts to scurry towards the gate.
All right.
All right.
Ike's like, okay, all right.
Okay. Well, we can take him off your sheet for now. We can put him back later if we need to.
He'll be fine.
He'll be fine.
You mean put him back when he comes back alive?
Of course, if he comes back alive.
No, when?
I knew what I said. All right. So, anybody else want to do anything before bed? All right.
Nothing here.
Okay, so yes. So if everybody else goes to sleep, we'll do another deception check. That's Ike pretending to sleep again.
Ophelia, you doing anything before you get robbed by Ike?
I know I'm still just over here hurting really bad.
Kosjurkis is like curling up near to Ayke and sleeping.
Okay.
Roland's just going to sleep in this corner.
Okay. Nobody believes you're sleeping, Ike, but everybody is actually sleeping, so you're good.
Okay. So again, after some time goes by, Ike's gonna stealthily or attempt to stealthily go right up to the gate again.
Okay.
Do you want a perception check or like do the guards notice me?
Just noticed something. Need to change this out real quick. Yes, they do. So what they do, I just noticed it was missing something on their sheet. There it is. Okay. Place these two here. Those tokens are just the wrong tokens. That's the sergeant token, so I'm mark them. Let me get this one replaced here. So what they, that's frustrating. I'm deleting the wrong one on accident. So, they just pull him up and have him. The first one turns, and as soon as you're walking up, he turns almost like he was waiting on you to walk the rest of the way up, and he fires at you and misses. The second one also turns simultaneously and fires at you, and both fire hand crossbows. One misses. I mean, it hits your armor, but it doesn't penetrate. The second one hits you, and it doesn't really particularly hurt much. I'm not going to apply the damage because it'd be a waste. But what it does do is when it does hit you, you feel a warmth spreading over you. And you are poisoned for 1 hour, and you pass out. Right there by the door, you fall face forward, like half leaning on the gate.
Fuck.
Do we have
And
Do we have crossbow bolts now?
Well, all of you are asleep. So, when everybody wakes up, what you do find, I'm replacing the drow, it's just different tokens. So when everybody wakes up, you see Ayke literally in the most uncomfortable position you could even imagine. He's like, from the waist down, he's like leaning against the gate, and from the waist up, his face is like smashed against the bars, and he's like leaning asleep. And to answer your question, no, they reached in and took their stuff.
Okay.
But
Double
on the upside, exhaustion disappears with the rest. And the wounds you have are healed also. So they start banging on the thing again, and it wakes everybody up. And Ayke, you have a horrible backache from sleeping like that. You're definitely not having a good day. All right. So they get you guys all split up. And for the record, they did collect the bowls and the spoons. They didn't seem to notice a whole lot about the spoon being messed up. But throughout the night, I need to send this, and I'm going to let you guys, before we start everything else, 2 of you are going to get whispers.
Huh?
2 of you are going to get whispers. You will know who you are once you get it. And you can read it. So, let's see. Ayke, we're going to pass up your passive perception because you took a nap. Ophelia, Kosjurkis, you guys kind of wake up, and everybody's starting to kind of get things together. And the rest of everybody is just kind of getting up and filing towards the gate. I'm going to give it about 45 seconds, maybe a minute, to let you guys, those of you who got whispers, read them and decide, process it. And if you desire to share that information, you can. We're going to wait till the end of the game. I'm sorry, the end of the day. And you guys can, if we don't make it to the end of the day, which I don't think we will tonight, you guys can share those on the Facebook page or wait till next game. But my recommendation to you is to create a note at the top right, and you can literally just drag my whisper into the note. You don't have to type anything, just left click, drag, and drop into the new note, and it will be there for your note purposes later. So if you need help with that, let me know. While you guys get that, I'm going to start working on the groups. So the guards wake you guys up, and as they do, they split you into 2 groups this time. Those groups include Kosjurkis in group 1.
Oh, just by myself?
Rolen in group 1 with Shushar, Jimjar, and Sereth. Everyone else is in group 2. If my quick explanation of notes wasn't very good for either anybody, if you can send me a message, I can help you after the game, or I can explain it again. Any of it is fine. I just didn't want to dive at you. I have it saved, obviously, because I sent it to you. But group 1, Rolen and Kosjurkis, The guard tells you very clearly, as he sends 3 Quagoth with you and walks you guys to the kitchen, he tells you there is a Dwergar caravan expected from Gracklestug. They are luxury supplies brought in from Gracklestug for Mistress Ilvara. Mistress Ilvara desires to maintain a productive trade relationship with these Dwergar. He says, we will bring you the supplies once we arrive. The supplies arrive. It is in your best interest to make this food of a higher quality than you would typically make it. And then he leaves. So, now those of you who are right here, you guys are kind of, the group 2, you guys are kind of sat around. So if you guys have anything you want to talk about before the caravan arrives right here in this central area, knock yourself out.
But have we been told, or are we aware that a caravan is coming?
Yes, you are told that there's a caravan that will be arriving, and your job will be to take the supplies that were moved out yesterday, take them down the lift, load them into the wagon. After you unload the wagon of the supplies brought, dropping 2 crates off at the kitchen, and then subsequently taking the remainder to the Quagoth Den. So, if nobody has anything, conversations or anything you want to go over, not that you have to, I'm just letting you know you're going to stand there for about 45 minutes if you guys wanted to talk. No, if you don't, that's not a problem.
Spirit doesn't say anything. She just looks very shaken, like she's had a horrible nightmare.
That door that's it's kind of like right behind Spirit, right?
Yes, it's got a cage door on it. You can see through it. It looks like a barracks.
And based upon the picture you showed us, the sidelong picture,
Yes,
is that the one that has the red stone of some sort above it?
I'd honestly have to look at that picture. Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, I will. What is that stone?
As far as you can tell, it just is for design.
So, valuable? Not valuable?
Not as far as you can tell.
Gotcha.
Okay. Looks like I need to get the turn off the group initiative and change it to random. Okay, so there we go. We got something fixed. So shortly, a few minutes later, the Dwergar caravan arrives. I didn't put any wagons in. I'm going to bring them in because I had deleted all my extra tokens because I had too many, causing issues. But I am going to be putting them back in probably for next game. So use your imagination for wagons. I wanted to see how the new server ran before I got anything put in. So 2 wagons arrive. And with aforementioned wagons, you have a number of guards. These are just the main guards. And the guards have a number of supplies. And in addition to those supplies, what the guards bring are 3 additional slaves. And they are very unusual looking slaves. So, a couple things. These 3 aren't covered on the Facebook page. They will be covered probably tomorrow morning. One is a Darrow. Looks like this. Darrow are different from Dwergar. How, you don't necessarily know, but you do know they're different. They appear different. You can close that at your leisure. The other is straight up, no issue. He's an orc. They are chained, and as I said, now this one is actually worth a little bit of information. This is a general picture of a myconid. This is not a specific picture of stool. I'm sorry, let me share this. This is the one I want to share. I'll get it transferred for stool's token tomorrow. So these are myconids. Myconids are not humanoid. They are bipedal, humanoid-esque creatures made of mushrooms. They're not covered in mushrooms. Their whole body's mushrooms. The bottom creature, the one that's kind of walking on all fours like a little mushroom dog, that's actually it's a sporling. It's a child version of a myconid, and that's what it looks like. It can walk on it is bipedal. It can walk on 2. It can walk on 4. Stool, also in these manacles. His token I'm not a fan of. I'll be changing it. So as you guys are coming down, you notice that the drow have provided you with a lot more people to do this job. Because of that, you are not necessarily required to do any athletics checks because they're not speedily forcing you and understaffing you for their own amusement. So, you guys are just going to be moving supplies. It's not going to be anything where you got to do checks. You're just going to be moving supplies. Does anybody have any questions or concerns about that?
About that, no.
Can we see what's like? Is it all just in crates, or can we make
It
out
is in
some of the
crates.
things? Can we see at all through the crates? Is there any type of like? Can I do a check to even try and open one of the crates just a little bit to see what's inside?
You can try to open it, but that's going to be up to you if you want to try and do a stealth check and then an athletics check. Stealth checks to keep it hidden, athletics checks to succeed on it. And when are you doing it? Now, mind you, you're taking the crate up the lift and then all the way to the Quaggoth Den.
Right. So I would be doing it in the lift.
Okay. So that is important. Okay. So the Quaggoth with you doesn't seem to notice as you crack the crate just slightly open. Inside are a series of steel-tipped darts, crossbow bolts, as well as a stack of short swords and daggers. Not like 50, but just kind of piled and packed in there.
Oh god.
So that's going to be to take out 1 dagger and 2 darts.
I'll give you 1 dagger or a dart, or 2 darts, but not for both. You're going to have to do a check for separate. Which one do you want for that check?
Okay. Let's say the dagger. And I'm of course throwing it down, like in my pant leg, trying to like hold it in a spot where it won't be seen, but it's still secure. And then another check for daggers.
You're taking 2 daggers
for darts. For darts.
Yes.
All right.
I believe technically they're crossbow bolts, so let me get those specifically.
Okay. And those are also going to they're going to go reverse in the what's the term? The prison pouch?
Prison wallet.
Prison wallet, that's the one. Thank you.
Some people are more dedicated than others.
And then seal it back, or like close it back up, like nothing happened.
Okay. Well,
do I need to make a check for that, or
you do not? You managed to, with some pretty decent checks versus a Quaggoth's passive perception. So, how about anybody else? Indomitable? Ophelia?
I notice, and do I notice Ayke doing this?
You are not in the lift. The lift doesn't carry a bunch of people.
Okay. So where is my character at this point?
It depends. If you want to do something, you let me know when you want to do it, because obviously you're moving from the Quaggoth in, back, supplies, up, down. You have enough people that you don't need checks.
I'll do the same thing in the lift. I'll try to do exactly what Ayke did. I'm not even gonna bother with the athletics.
Okay. So the Quaggoth sees you.
I just flash a grin and just slightly closed and get back to doing what I'm doing.
Okay. The Quaggoth picks you up and throws you off the lift.
Oh dear goodness.
It's okay, cats always land on their feet, right,
Yeah.
guys?
Yep.
Luckily
I
for
certainly
you,
hope so.
Luckily for you, you did it when you were only about 40 feet off the ground.
Only.
And so you hit the ground and take 11 points of damage.
Ouch. Well, that's a broken leg.
And the Dwergar kind of laugh at you. And Quaggoth looks over and says, "No open box. Bad for health." And he kind of looks over, and Ophelia, you happen to be in the lift with Indomitable when she is snatched up and thrown over the lift. And the Quaggoth looks down at you and says, "You open box too?"
No.
Good. Smart girl. He pats you on the head. One of the Dwergar walks over and stabilizes you, and you hear a voice from above as you're going up, and it's the young lady Asha Van Dree. I don't have the picture loaded in here because I already shared it. She's the crazy looking bitch on the Facebook page, but it comes with her. So you can cite that picture there. I didn't load them in because I didn't want to bog down the server again for no reason. As you get up there, she kind of smacks the Quaggoth with her hand, not in an injuring. She goes, "Stop mortally wounding the slaves. They're too valuable. You beat them." And she slaps Ophelia. She goes, "See? You smack them." And she slaps Ophelia again. "But you don't." And she smacks Ophelia a third time. "Kill them." And she shoves you guys off the lift, and she goes down the lift by herself. In a very frustrated fashion, she casts Cure Wounds on Indomitable and heals you. And as you come awake, she takes a look at you and she kind of says, "You're not very smart, are you, Tabaxi?"
I just kind of look up at her and I don't say anything. I just kind of shake my head to try to clear it.
And she says, "Well, for future reference, it's probably a wise idea not to piss off the Quaggoth. But just in case you forget," she smacks her mace into the side of your kneecap.
Ow.
And she says, "Next time, I won't waste Loth's blessing keeping a slave alive. Get up." So she healed you, then she cracked your kneecap, and you're walking with a limp. And she says, "Get up and get over there."
Let's say I stagger to my feet and just kind of drag my leg over to where she points me to.
So, as you're moving through, Ophelia, you and Turvy, the brother, are walking. And you guys are about right here. And you have a drow guard who's kind of walking with you, but he's kind of looking back at you. And as you guys are kind of moving, you notice out of the side of your eye as you pass that the leader, the lady you guys have heard about, but you haven't really seen her, again, picture on the Facebook page, she kind of steps out onto this bridge and she starts to look at the, as you guys are walking around. And as you do, the drow notices her. And as she's kind of watching, he kind of turns and he smacks Turvy with his weapon. Now the drow they're carrying various weapons. This one happens to have a short sword, and he hits Turvy with it, and Turvy attacks him back.
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm. What are you gonna do?
Look down.
Fair enough. So Turvy attacks him back, and the drow responds by trying to grapple Turvy. Let's see. And let's see. Slowly. Look down slowly, or what we talking?
I mean,
that's a mistake.
Oh, it was something he posted. I was trying to figure out what he was saying. Sorry. Ophelia. So he tries to fight the drow and manages to roll a 9. And the drow picks his little sphere Neblin ass up and throws him over into the webbing.
Can I try and catch his hand?
You can. Give me a dexterity check. No, he's gone.
He'd be gone.
What do I have disadvantage?
You're wearing handcuffs.
He's spider food now.
And you jump, your box falls, and you jump and you reach out and you try and grab him, and you feel his hand, and your manacles snap taunt, yanking your own hand back because you couldn't get them far enough ahead at the same time, and you see him hit the web in a matter of 2 seconds, or let's call it 10 seconds, 2 rounds. 6 spiders just fly out from the stalactites, and he is just ripped shreds, ripped limb from limb.
Well, that's terrifying.
Poor guy.
And you
I don't know if
notice
I can make friends with those things.
Ilvara says nothing. She kind of nods as you kind of get back up. You notice she nods at the drow and then walks back inside. And the drow kind of looks at you and says, "Pick up both crates. Don't drop them."
Okay, I pick him up, I guess.
With a tear in your eye.
Outstanding. And I think that's a great place to end our first game. Welcome to the Underdark and Out of the Abyss.
I can't wait to level up and just come back and just slaughter these fools. Assuming we get the chance.
Good. Let the hate flow through you.
You have to get out of here first.
All right, guys. First game. Did you guys have fun?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You guys starting to get a little Stockholm syndrome? Sympathizing with your captors? Think you know your friends?
No.
Not quite yet. It's just par for the course for the Kobold, though.
This just gives Spirit more of a reason to just get out and just find her family. She is going to find her husband and son, or she is going to die trying. Probably the latter is going to happen first, but we'll see.
All right. Does anybody have anything they want to talk about before we last 10 minutes? Questions, comments, concerns, complaints?
I had a quick question.
Shoot.
The coming 2 weeks are holiday oriented. Will there be
Yes.
a game next week?
That was going to be my question after your questions. I was going to give you guys a chance, but since you brought it up, let's see. 23rd is 2 days before Christmas. I don't know. We don't have anything to. I don't care if we don't have anything, but I know that people go travel out of town. They go to families. I'm not holding a Wednesday game this week for that reason. Actually, I think I have a Wednesday game this week, but not next week. What do you guys want to do?
I personally will be doing a family thing. I will not be available.
Yeah, I won't be able to make it either.
Okay, well that's 2/3. I don't know about Ben and.
I can be here.
Would you guys like, especially since it's the first couple games, you guys just want to skip the next 2 weeks and pick up after that, or what do you guys want to do?
Yeah, especially with all the role play, I would vote that.
Yeah,
we should
just
try and have
maybe.
everybody around, right?
Yeah.
Enough brains, enough thinking, enough.
What do you think,
we can
Ophelia,
do
Ben?
that. I'm good either way.
It's fine. Yeah, I'm good with whatever.
Okay, so we'll stop here, and we will resume. Let's see, next week's 23rd, then the 30th, then the 6th. So our next game would probably be on the 6th of January. Does that sound what you guys are talking about?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Sure.
Okay, so
Yeah, okay, yep.
I hope this recording comes out fine. I just noticed just now on OBS that apparently my microphone's also been picking up audio from my headset, so we might get some double audio from.
it happens.
So, yeah.
It took me a couple times to get OBS working right. It's what I used, and once I got it streamlined, it worked perfectly. I encourage you to use the Facebook page if you want to, but I encourage it to have in-character conversations. Make a post about, discussing the escaping and discussing what you've learned, discussing things you've gathered, plans. What this will do, it allows more direct role playing rather than thinking, and you can take a couple hours and share your opinion, and then in game you have the thinking out of the way, and you can go straight into the role playing in action. You don't want to, doesn't hurt my feelings. It is a resource that you can use. Anybody can start a post and say, hey, let's use this post for the evening of the first day we discussed this. I will reply with the NPCs if you choose to do that. So if you have an NPC question, hey, I want to ask, Jim Jar this, I will reply with information.
That's fantastic. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I will see you guys in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that.
All right, sounds good.
Merry Christmas to everybody, and a Happy New Year.
Right
Yeah,
back
Merry
at you.
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, all. Don't worry, I'll keep those weapons tight in my butthole.
That's
Prison
why
bullet.
we brought you along.